Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. Today's video, Multivac, MTV. I haven't done a MTV video for such a long time, mainly really because of the kind of crazy year that they had throughout 2022, lack of communication and other strange, bizarre things that they were doing. But I've had a few requests and comments from previous videos, when you can next do an update video on that. And I'm going to do it now. It's not going to be a huge, massive one, but I just wanted to kind of pinpoint a few reasons as to why I'm still holding this token. And we'll also have a quick look at a calculator just to see if when we're buying around these kind of regions, what kind of returns we might see from this if we look at previous all-time highs and things like that. So keep with us for a few minutes for that. Before we go into a bit more detail about Multivac, do make sure you smash that subscribe button and also check out the other videos on the channel. Loads of different topics and discussions as always, and if there's anything that we don't cover that you wish us to, please let us know in the comments or in the community section. We've got a Jasmine and a CPH video coming out this weekend, as well as a couple of other ones that are just trying to catch up really on a few of the other ones. Those that didn't know, I was a bit ill for a couple of weeks, all good now, and we can start smashing out these videos again. Looking forward to it. So let's go straight into this one, guys. So Multivac, this is such a bizarre project. Like, I'm still kind of majorly frustrated by it. So for those that don't know or don't remember, if you remember last December, not the December just gone, but the December before, there was a huge shake-up at the CEO level and ownership level of this project. It seemed like the team had completely disappeared, and literally there was no communication for like 5-6 months, other than like drips and drabs, and there was supposedly someone coming in for the marketing communications side, VP of marketing or something, and who then kind of half disappeared as well. A lot of people thought it was a fake account, etc., and it was really bizarre. But throughout that year, I always made statements that I'm holding on to this token or this project token because on paper, this technology, this project could actually be quite phenomenal. But I haven't seen anything major yet that sort of indicates that to be fully true. But if anything that I've learned over the last few years in the crypto space is that anything can surprise you at any time. And I know a lot of projects over the last 12 to 18 months specifically have shifted their momentum arguably from massive communication and marketing efforts, or indeed diminished or removed their teams completely in that area and focused purely on development. Now, if they've got the funding, which I know Multivac do, and of course they've had a lot of people staking the MTV token over a couple of years or whatever, over that time, there is a lot of collateral and liquidity and everything within this project thus far. So with that in mind, I sit tight. I don't want to sell it at a loss regardless. Arguably I did sell like a small batch of it towards the latter part of last year to move into a different project, and I knew this project was probably going to come down a bit low. We'll go into a bit of the chart detail in a second, but my point being about this is some of these crypto assets, I consider this one a risk, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's a hugely bad thing in my opinion. My thoughts process behind why I'm holding it. I've done what I've done over the last couple of years of buying into this project based on white papers, based on the information, based on previous AMAs and things like that. And that's what I'm kind of holding on to. I don't know why. It's a bit bizarre to think that way sometimes, but some of these crypto projects, you do have to look at them in various different ways. So I've done a lot of research on Multivac, obviously, when we did the intro videos a while back, but more recently, with the crazy developments or lack of in terms of communication aspects and things like that, it has been very difficult to sort of stand by this. So I kind of like put it at the bottom of the pile, as it were, in my mind, and just left it there to see what happens in the future. So it's all about risk management, and it's all about monitoring. Like, some of these projects may not be things that you could probably almost guarantee in your head or in the markets that this is going to be a huge project moving forward. Some of them you sort of sit there and you think, okay, on paper this is good, haven't really seen anything yet, but as I said, in the crypto space, anything can happen at any time. So that's why I'm still holding it. But I will reiterate how odd this company is. So this is from the 1st of March. Bear in mind, really, from December onwards, and to be honest, even last year was obviously like very poor with communication and everything. Haven't really seen anything since sort of towards the end of February, but it's sort of like repetitive conversations around one of their projects in the ecosystem called Proxima, the game. So one thing that stood out for me with Multivac over the last year or so is their NFT application and their game application. I want to see some more concrete kind of like B2B mentality, what they're doing, from a commercial perspective, but haven't seen anything on that side of things yet. So we'll see. But look at this. I really don't understand this, right? So scammer alert, more than 14,000 people already fell for this fake Multivac account, and then with loads of laughing smiley faces. Be careful out there. So I honestly, like, I don't know who writes these things and who does these things, but like from a marketing perspective, from a PR perspective, when something bad has happened in your industry or something is going on like this, good Lord, don't put things like crazy weird emojis. You got to be serious about this. If you think like last couple of weeks about Alliance Block, for example, and how serious that was about the hacking, and then what does that determine for people who've lost money or being potentially scammed or hacked? There's no emojis there, and you can see the completely different level of professionalism and just level of communication. I was staggered when I saw this. I was literally doing a couple of bits of research last night on Multivac to see if there's any kind of exciting information from the last 6 months. I couldn't find any. But this, I could not believe it. And of course, like as you'd expect, many people in the tweets and everything sort of saying like, wow, okay, it's just making Multivac look really bad, and just making a bit of a joke, some people, about the fact that Multivac hasn't really been doing much recently either, and actually is that a scam as well. But good Lord, I just could not believe it, like what I was reading here. But yeah, unprofessional, exactly that, from some of these comments on here. So I don't know what you guys thought about this when you saw it, or maybe this is the first time you've seen it. It almost made me like, do you know what, I've had enough of this project, just sell it off at a loss, whatever. But I'm keeping hold of it for some strange reason. But yeah, in general, guys, just from my professional perspective, do look out always for the fact of fake accounts and things like this. Always pay attention to small letters and the capitalizations and stuff like that, and make sure that it's a fully legitimate company. Usually they have blue ticks, but these guys obviously haven't done that yet. So we'll see if that develops. So you'd think they would try and do that, to be honest, to try and protect people in that instance. But here we are. Some just simply don't know. But yeah, that absolutely threw me. I could not believe it. So yeah, very bizarre indeed. But one of the other key points I wanted to mention is about the price point. So this is actually a really cool thing I've used for a long time. Ignore that it says XRP. This is just because you can actually like preempt this based on real-time prices. But all I'm doing is just adjusting it to the existing current price or roundabouts current price of Multivac. And what I like to do here really is kind of like identify kind of a possible return. So we'll go into the chart in a second, because the previous all-time high, certainly from last year, is around like 2.9 cents, right? So at the moment, around 0.001. So I'm thinking, okay, well, if I'm new to Multivac, and yes, of course, there was a bit of a dip a month or so ago, it was a bit lower, but we're looking at these current price points. If I was DCAing in or looking at this as a new project, irrespective of how weird they are, this is one of the reasons why I've kept hold of it, and still putting in very, very small amount. I'm talking about small amounts into Multivac. It's too much of a risk for me to plow all my capital or any other money into it. But for this instance, this topic and argument, opening price, as I said, 0.001. Now, if we got to 0.29 cents again, which is more than achievable, to be honest, because of the next bull run. In a lot of instances, guys, you look at all the crypto assets out there in the last bull run of like 2021, right? And half of them were absolute garbage, didn't have any utility or anything like that. Now, Multivac on paper supposedly has, and arguably we could say that over the next year or two that Multivac might step up and might actually progress with its development and produce that in whatever form. So there's plenty of variables to argue that this could go in a really positive way. If we were putting in, for example, like $100 worth right now obviously that's pretty much giving you about 100,000 tokens roughly around this current rounded price. Simple maths, really. If we just press the calculate button here, this could suggest that if we invested $100 and we got to that previous all-time high, we're looking at 2,800, and that's profit. And I think that's reasonably decent, to be honest. I don't think there's many projects that could, look at that in that way, considering that it is a really strange project right now, but something that could actually match the previous all-time high. If you imagine the mass integration of people getting excited, FOMOing in like they did over the last a couple years ago, and I see that happening again. I've seen it like so many times, 3 or 4 times over the last 5-6 years or whatever. It is definitely possible, and you could argue that this could smash through that. It could even get to the 5 cents, maybe even 10 cents in the next bull run, and then obviously there's significant gains even further. But the one thing I will reiterate is the risk management perspective. Nothing is guaranteed. Doing the research of the project, yes, of course, you can look at all the multitude of different videos out there, including ours, but the fact of the matter is the last year or so has been very weird. So that's what I would say from a perspective of opinion, is that just be careful, be cautious. But this is certainly a possibility, irrespective of it being a guarantee or not. So actually on this topic, I'm just going to shove our chart onto this. So as I said, Multivac is just slightly over 0.001, to be honest, but it's there or thereabouts. My point being about this is, if we look back in the history, you can see here, this is the previous all-time high, literally pretty much 3 cents, right? So you can see there's this big massive amount of growth, and you can actually also see here, if I just get rid of these silly adverts and this one, you see the price point here in 2019 all the way through to 2021, arguably, other than this little patch upwards here, it's very much around similar price points that we see today, if not less. And then that staggering up approach of development, excitement, FOMOing in, we got to 2021, and that's when it shot up. So this is quite an interesting period of time, really, guys, because it's still sustaining itself somehow. It's still there, and there are promises, arguably, through the research, through the website, the white papers, etc., to suggest that this could be a really good project if it wanted to be. But we just have to get through this really weird patch. I know developers going on because I check the nodes and everything every now and then, and it's definitely in development, it's progressing in that side of things. It's just not communicated. So it's really interesting one for me. If you remember as well, we sort of looked at previous price point projections for the next bull runs. I put 30 cents here, 27 cents. I still think that's potentially achievable with the next batch of run of enthusiasm towards this project. But for sure, we could argue that at least, the very least, the next big fib retracement level on the long term was suggesting around that 5 cent mark, which is why we just put in the calculator around that marker. There's obviously like some further traction upwards to the top levels of 12 cents and maybe even beyond that as time goes by. But we have to take it step by step. But for me, this is another reason why I'm holding on to it. And accumulating at very small regions. If I could try and get to like 1 million tokens at some point, that's literally how little I'm putting in, to be honest, because it's arguably over a short period of time possible to accumulate 1 million tokens that could generate some really good returns over the next few years if this progresses the way we hope it does. But at the moment, when we're looking at these reflected points, I really don't think it's too much difference, to be honest, between 0.0007 and where we are today. So if you're doing short-term trading, of course it makes a bit of a difference, but in the long term, these sort of price differentiations aren't too much of a bother to me personally. So for those that do short-term trading, of course, there's multiple opportunities with MTV. It's a very staggering or staged process with MTV. It's quite a bobble effect, if you like, in the charts. So there's plenty of opportunity at various different levels here to accumulate at slightly different patch areas of the fib retracement and take advantage of those returns in short bursts. But for the long-term aspect, as I said, it's not much to really massively consider. Just as I said, the risk management aspect of it in general as a project. But the RSIs, again, it's not too much detail here, but like even on the 28-day, I'm going to look at the 28-day rather than the other ones, which I normally do on most charts, in the fact that over a 3-month period, you could argue that from this level down at 46, there was a massive opportunity for an upward growth aspiration here. Even on the way back down here, back in November last year, going back down to 38, I would like to probably, from a long term, if you're doing it like in batches of a few months of trading, probably wait for that to come back down to that 40 region again. just to give a bit more of a boost, because at the moment we're in a bit of a downward trend like the rest of the market is, and there's a bit of an opportunity to perhaps grab some of these lower regions. But again, it's really just depend on your strategy. For me, it's a really long term, at least 2025 before I start taking some out. I want to see a big bull run on this first before I make some conclusive decisions on selling most of that off. At least break even would be nice, to be honest. But yeah, for sure in the long term, if this does what it says it would do, it could be really promising. So over the next 5-10 years. But the performance indicators on the right hand side here, you can see they're still negative on the week and the month. It's quite expected. I think a lot of the other assets are showing these red formats in these two areas anyway, despite the fact that probably over the last few months the whole market in general has had a good roughly 3 to 6 months. So that's why those are still in green areas here, but they are diminishing slowly. And this is why I always thought about March and April this year being a really significant area in both the crypto and stock markets, as well as everything going on in the world. I just feel like the timing is coming into play to potentially grab something at even lower prices. That's just my thoughts. That's what I've been doing with my data analysis and everything like that. And I can start seeing a bit more of a downward movement now. Now the excitement of AI and everything like that has come out. It's now kind of like playing into the game of like everyone's running out of money, bills are going up, inflation. I still think there's a big part to play for the recession still, and all these factors as well. So just bear that in mind when you're buying any asset, let alone MTV. But particularly with MTV, it's just really important to understand the history of this project and look at that last year and a half. It's really bizarre journey that we've been on with these guys. So that's very much wrapping up MTV, to be honest. I'll keep it short and sweet on this one. We'll do an update video perhaps in a month's time, or if we see any dramatic movements. But yeah, just keep safe out there, guys. Just do the risk management, do the research, and conclude what kind of strategy you're going to have with MTV moving forward. So we'll wrap that up. Thanks for watching this one, guys. We'll catch you in the next MTV video very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.